Hey, it's Amy from Amy Parker Art. I'm here with my friend Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art, and we are so excited to be here. We're going to be talking to you about some top tips that we do for our own landscape paintings. I know we are streaming on my page today. I'm not sure if it's showing up on your page right now or not, Cheryl. If not, I'll go share after. Unless someone can do that for Cheryl, that would be great. But anyway, I've been painting, for many, many years, just like Cheryl. Landscapes are definitely one of my favorite things to paint and create. I've had really good luck selling my paintings as well. And a big chunk of those were landscapes. I'm going to let my friend Cheryl go ahead and introduce herself. Cheryl, I hope I didn't mess up your business name. Tinker's Cart.
Art. You're right.
Okay, I said it right. I was confused. I mean, I know your business name. We've been friends for like ever. So anyway, go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and all that fun stuff.
Hello, everyone. I am also a painter. I work in lots of mediums, but I teach in acrylics, and I teach like a step-by-step easy method for you to learn. So if you're a complete beginner, it's a good way to start. And I have online classes, in-person classes, and I also have an art membership. And I just love painting. I'm an oil painter and a watercolor painter as well, but I do teach mostly acrylics. We're doing a little watercolor in the membership now too. But yeah, so I've always painted. I started oil painting lessons when I was probably 9 and went to school for commercial art and fine art. So yeah. I mean, who would send their kids now with all those chemicals? Like my brother and I went off to oil painting class and I just still love
I
love
just started getting back into oil painting recently, like at the end of the summer. So I'm loving it. But acrylics are my specialty and I dabble in watercolor. Yeah, I'm liking the oils as well. But yeah, you're right. Nowadays they have better solvents and things like that, so it's not as toxic, or they even say are non-toxic. So I don't know. I'm going to investigate those and see what I can find as well. I did get a little oil painting kit. I'm trying to see where it is in my studio. I'm not sure where I put it.
I've tried the water soluble oils. I wasn't a huge fan, but they're good for someone who wants that. I wouldn't mind looking into the open paints, which is the acrylics that really stay workable longer. But I sort of make my acrylics work like oils. I paint on the fast side to be able to blend. There's retarders you can use. And I just, I know the colors are pretty rich, not as rich as oils. I do love oils for that, but acrylics are so much easier, especially when I'm out plein air painting. And anyway, yeah.
So I did a little bit of plein air painting this year. I know you've done a lot, Cheryl. So that'll be cool. Basically, I have a video I'm going to share with you all in a few moments. It's me painting a landscape. So I'm going to skip around and kind of show you a couple different tips and techniques that I use. And Cheryl's going to talk a bit about mostly painting landscapes in plein air, right, Cheryl?
Yeah.
Hello, Gail. Hello, Donna. Thank you all for being here. Let us know if you love to paint landscapes. We would like to know. All right. Why don't you go ahead and take it away, Cheryl? Give us some of your landscape painting tips.
Okay. And I do a lot of plein air, but I do a lot of painting of landscapes in the studio as well. And a lot of the principles are the same. But I have to say, I do find people are intimidated a little bit sometimes about going outdoors, but I think it really helps you see things. I'm easier at painting outdoors than I am from a photo. But, sometimes we don't have that advantage to go outside. So what I do like to tell people is if you can, just try it. Like even if it's going out in your yard with a little TV tray with your ordinary supplies, go ahead. But some tips for plein air painting that I think will translate well for just your in-studio painting. And maybe I'll just show you a few tools that I use, and then it will feed into why you would do those. So when I'm out painting, And the same as if you're looking at a photograph, your eye sees everything and you can't paint everything. So in the beginning, I was trying to fit everything I saw into my canvas. I'd be looking to my left and there's a barn, so that had to go in, and then you get all discombobulated. So you really have to simplify. Even like Amy, I'm sure, like when you're doing something inside, you have to simplify. You have to look at what's in front of you, whether it's a photo or the landscape, and cut things out. Really just use what you need to tell the story. You don't need all of the extra bits as much as you love them. Because I would be that way. Oh, I just love that little pot with that flower, and but you don't need it. So
Yeah.
what helps me when I'm out now is I look through a viewfinder. And I can make it a square format if I want, or I could go rectangle if I'm using one of those long rectangular canvases, which I love. This, looking through this, sort of puts into the frame what you can fit. And I even go from there and do a sketch because I really need to see how it's going to fit. So I'll do little sketches. And honestly, this has helped me so much because it narrows down. Because our eyesight is so good, we see everything in such detail. That's not the way you want to
Some of
paint
us
it.
have good eyesight.
I purposely don't wear my glasses so that it will blur things a little bit. I'll keep my readers down on my nose, so when I'm working on my canvas, I can see it. But when I'm looking up, it's not detail, because you really want to make your painting like you see. So if you're looking straight ahead and that's your point of interest, or you see that scene right there or that tree, your peripheral vision is kind of blurry. So that's how you want your painting to be, because then your focus is going to be on your point of interest. But because we can turn like that and see that in perfect, view it perfectly, you think you should paint it that way, but you shouldn't. If you kind of look at what you want your center of interest to be, and use your peripheral vision, it's blurred a bit. So that's
I
what
think
helps.
that is a wonderful tip right there, Cheryl. I love your viewfinder. I do that as well when I'm painting in plein
Yeah,
air. Usually I'll just use my hands
yeah.
and go like
I,
this,
with
or
this
I will cut a
one,
piece of paper and use the paper like cut out.
yeah.
But can I ask you to, if there's a way for you to articulate what you were just saying about if they're looking at a particular subject or element that's in clear view, but then the rest is, a little bit blurred. How can someone do that? How can an artist who is just starting to paint landscapes make that outside piece blurred?
It,
Do you have a couple tips on that?
it's simplifying, really. So if you're looking at your center of interest and it's, I don't know what, a structure or whatever it is, when you're looking to the side and you turn and that's a whole forest, you don't need to paint a whole forest. You just need to suggest many trees by a few. You think of threes. That's what I have learned. Think of threes. Like, so if there's a whole forest over there, you don't need 100 trees. Paint three. Paint and think of making your painting interesting by varying things. So think mama, papa, baby bear, big tree, little tree, smaller tree, three. I don't care if there's a flowers over here and there's something. Try to simplify it into threes, but try to just get the feeling of it without struggling, because you're looking now and you see all those trees. So the one on the front and the bark is like this, and then there's a knot in the tree. And I was always getting caught up in that. It's been just recently that I can really step away and say, I want this to be fun. Big brush, couple of strokes, there's my tree, and not worried about the knot hole. And then there might be a bird. So I know it's hard, but make it easier on yourself. And you can always go and add more detail, but be real simple to start. And you cannot confuse your viewer, because it's easy to put too many objects, too many colors, and too many things, and it just confuses the viewer. And so simplifying makes it easier to paint even.
Yeah,
And you want
agreed.
interest, but you don't want to overwhelm. So really, I just really try to get everything into what I'm going to do, because I started this painting and all of a sudden the thing that was over here I wanted to put in, and the thing over here, and then I had to really narrow it down into my little block there. And so little tools help like that.
So, Cheryl, even if they're painting in plein air, which means painting outside, even if they're painting in plein air or if they're painting in their studio looking at a reference photo, they should still focus on one area.
And that's hard with the photograph. So that's why you have to be careful. You're not recreating a photograph on your painting. It's not, you know how you used to always be like, if someone was watching me paint and they said, "Oh my God, that's so good. It looks just like a photo." Well, that was always, "Oh, well, look at me. I can make it look like a photo." That's not what we want, though. We're telling our story for the scene. If they want a photo, you can take a photo. You want to interpret it, which means you can change things. If there's a forest of trees, you can make one. You can change colors of things. You are the boss of your painting. You can do whatever you want
I
to
love
make
how
it.
you say that.
So it
That's
took a long
perfect.
time. No, it took a long time to say. I was so worried about trying to capture everything. Like, what color is that? Oh, let me see. How do I mix that color? I was all worked up about the color, and the color doesn't even matter when it gets down to it. It's the values, and I could change the color if I wanted to. So
Yeah.
when you relax about all that, that's when you can start really maybe having fun a little more
Yeah.
without being a slave to the every little tiny bit.
Right.
So, so yeah, so that's what I would do. I would start that way, but I will just quickly talk about value for a minute because value will make or break your painting. It's not color, it's value. You worry about color, don't even just step away. Look at your color wheel. Those colors, those 10 colors make all the colors there are. So you don't have to, what color are you using? What color did that artist use? What color should I have in my palette? Where should I put that color? You can make all the colors. It's the value. And to help, and I'll show you my little tool here because this really helps too, is a little, well, I would take a look through a piece of red acetate, which is cool because it does have kind of a viewfinder on it. And this will take all your color and mute it down and make all you'll see are the values. So I will go ahead then and do a sketch that's a value sketch. Just think of light, dark, medium to start. And that's,
Cheryl, where can they get that red
I,
thing that you have?
I ordered it online. It's a Tom Lynch secret plein air tool. Gorilla Painter has it. Gorilla Painter is where I've
Oh,
gotten a lot
okay.
of God
That's
boxes
an
and
awesome tool. I don't have that tool. I probably will get that
it's
myself. Yeah.
so it's really helpful. I really have I myself have a real hard time with values sometimes. I never really understood it. But if you can think like sometimes I'll go into my painting and just get my darks in first and lights. I have come to be doing value studies now before I even paint, just a light wash of a value study, because I know how important it is now and how I never really thought about it. Before I was just worried about the color. The tree is green. You can paint the tree in shades of blue. As long as the value is right, it still works. Your eye still is drawn towards it. So if you
Yeah.
think more value, less about the color, it's amazing how you will improve your paintings.
You know what's helped me personally with values is to create a painting in black and white. Just use black and white acrylics,
Yep,
and you can
great
make so
advice.
many different shades of gray from, black all the way to white, mix different shades up, and then create a painting with just black and white. And the wonderful, beautiful thing about acrylic paintings is you can paint over paint. You can layer upon layer upon layer easily because it dries pretty fast. So if you paint, and you don't have to go crazy painting an entire landscape in black and white, do what Cheryl said, like just pick like a little element, paint that in black and
Even
white. Then you can see, oh, this is the darkest part here. This is the lightest part here. So then when I'm going to put on my colors, I don't do this all the time, but I taught myself values by creating in black and white and
yep.
then going over with color and layering on top. Like, okay, this really deep dark color maybe is like a deep maroon or, a deep green or whatever. And then I'd put that color in. So I'm not sure if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you,
It does.
Cheryl?
That's a good exercise. And I wish I had the little thing with me because I also have a little set of Copic markers, which comes in all kinds, a variety of shades of gray. I narrow it down to like 3 shades, say, and it's a little the Copic markers. And sometimes I'll go in and just do my sketch with the Copic. So I get the dark, the medium, and the light. And that
Yeah.
almost like an exercise that eventually you will get it, but sometimes I still do that just so I can in my head organize. Once I'm ready to paint, I've got it organized by the values. I've got the little tiny sketch, and it's a good roadmap. And honestly, every time I figure out I'm just going to jump in, I'm just going to jump in. I always have to fix it. So I would rather
Yeah.
do the work beforehand, add the hard work, and then have the fun with the paint.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
If any of you have questions while we are
Oh,
chatting
please
here, go ahead,
put them right
blow
there.
up the comments, put them in there. Do you have any more quick tips for your landscape paintings? And then I'll take over and tell them a little bit of what I do.
Well, just a few things. Kind of, if you have a minute, study a little bit about design elements and perspective and composition, because sometimes if you have the design elements and the composition rules kind of a little familiarized with you, you can use those and then fit your painting into it. It doesn't always have to be exactly what you see. You want to know what's going to work well, like the rule of thirds. I just have a little sketch. I don't know if you can see it. This is just a simple little thing, and never to put a horizon line in the center of your painting anywhere. Nothing right in the center. So if you use that little rule of thirds and you've got those little circles where they are, that's those 4 areas for your focal points is a good quick little rule of thumb to have a pleasing composition to start with. And when I'm out, I sometimes will see that naturally, or sometimes I'll move things. And then
Cheryl,
another quick tip.
hold that up again so they can take a screenshot of
Oh,
your diagram, because I think that's
I was going to draw it, but this
or
is just my
can you
notes.
move the banner. Oh, okay, they've got it. Oh,
And you can just go on to online and just Google rule of thirds. You'll get all kinds of little tips. And then a quick one too is your mid, fore, and background. Anything in the foreground is going to be high chroma, brighter colors. Things in the background to make them recede are dulled down and grayed. That's a pretty simple little thing to help you. But anyway, you go ahead with your your video, Amy, and we can please ask questions and we can talk more about it as well. But
yeah.
let's just
Um,
starting points.
So that was very helpful information, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And like I said, go ahead and put in your questions if you have them. So painting landscapes, I did grab a few brushes here. This is what I noticed that people, when they artists that just start creating landscapes, or feel like they're not that comfortable with doing them yet. A lot of you I'm seeing using tiny brushes, right? Depends what you're painting on. I typically paint on a 16 by 20, although I have some big pieces here that I'm working on for a customer. But especially to get like the sky and just like the basic bare bones down to your painting, use a bigger brush. Like I use, this brush is, I think, a 2 inch or maybe an inch and a half. This one's sort of like the Bob Rossi kind of brushes that he used to use, like the regular painter's brush. This one's kind of small, but I have another one that's like double this size, so like a 2 inch brush. And then that's what I mostly use for getting down the sky real quickly. And also, if you're painting water in your landscape, you literally can start from the top of the canvas, go all the way down. So you get the sky and the water in at the same time with one big brush. If some of this makes sense and some of it doesn't, just come back to this video after you try some landscape paintings, because then I think it'll even make more sense once you try it out. Here's another brush that I love to use a lot, is my angled brush. And I have these in all different sizes, but these I really love because you can use the chiseled edge to kind of create mountains. That's what I use them for a lot, actually, is to kind of put my mountains in, or I will drag up, on the chiseled edge for trees. And you can do this like really fast. And like Cheryl was saying, how like the mid part of your painting, it's not going to be as bright as the foreground. So literally you could use like a lighter like gray, even, for instance, when I was talking about the black and white painting, to kind of go in the mid, and then in the foreground you would add a little bit of color to that. So I totally agree with everything Cheryl's been saying. And then another brush that I really love to use for landscape paintings are these bristle brushes. They're really scruffy. Some people call them scruffy brushes, but they're really firm. And I don't care when I'm rinsing them and smashing them down inside the water and stuff. You're not going to hurt these brushes. They're pretty tough. And these are great for putting in trees and in bushes and things like that very easily by picking up a little paint. You don't want this dripping wet. You do want to wet it and then kind of wipe it on your paper towel, pick up some color, and then just kind of dab it around. Um, Something Cheryl mentioned that I think is important, how you were talking about threes, right? I think this kind of goes for most paintings. That we don't want to have. I'm a firm believer in threes too, or odd numbers of something. So like if you're painting in trees, for example, then if you paint four, it's not going to be as pleasing to the eye as if you painted five or if you painted three. It's just the way that it is in when we all look at a painting. It's just more attractive that way. So anyway, those are a few brushes that I use for my landscape paintings. Now, like Cheryl was saying as well, I always like to think I kind of have all this planted in my brain now because I've been painting for so many years, just like Cheryl. But when I try and think and kind of go back to the beginning of when I was first painting landscapes, it is true that we want to have a background, a midground, and a foreground. So if you think of it like that in three pieces, that might help you a bit with your landscape paintings. But I want to mention here, when you paint in your sky, drag it down a little bit further. You don't have to stop it right there and then make sure you can drag it down because you can paint right over at your midsection. Your midsection usually is like far distant mountains or something like that, typically in a landscape. And then you don't want to use a bright color for that. Sometimes I do, okay, just because when you are an artist, you literally can break the rules, create whatever you want. Cheryl was talking about making things your own, right? But typically you would want that mid a little bit lighter and then the foreground, more colorful. Now, just because I told you to think of the background, the mid, and the foreground, you might be thinking of it like this, right? This is how I do anyway: the top, the middle, the bottom. But we don't want to separate those. So they're like three different paintings. We want to make sure that, let's say we've got the sky in, we want our mountains to kind of go into our sky a bit. And then when we're painting our foreground, we want some of those trees or grass pieces or whatever it is kind of go up into the midsection. So hopefully that makes sense. Cheryl and I have some fun things coming up. Little side note here that we're going to talk about in a few minutes in case you want to be a part of that. Mine is the Paint and Art Business Challenge that actually started this morning at 10 a.m. It's not too late to join though. And then Cheryl has a workshop coming up real soon too. So we will talk about that. But the reason I was throwing that in right now is because I do have a painting that was released into the paint challenge that I'm doing. I have that queued up here, ready to go, because I'm going to play this. I'm not going to play the whole thing. If you want to do it, you can jump into the challenge, but it is a landscape painting. So I'm going to skip ahead and kind of show you a little bit about what I was just talking about so you can kind of have a visual. But let me see what Nancy's saying here. Have either of you done a mural on a wall to do landscape? I've been toying with doing my stairwell staircase. I have. What about you, Cheryl?
Many years ago. I haven't done it in quite a while, but it's same sort of principles and things. Just have your sketches, but I think a lot of people now use it. You could use a projector to get the design on there. Amy, do you use a? I've seen these great little projectors you can get
Yeah,
on Amazon.
I have a
It's in
projector. I love it. Yeah. Yep. I don't use
that
it
would
all
print.
the time. I don't do a lot of murals anymore, but years ago I did quite a few. When I was a kid, I mean, I'm talking 16, I did a huge mural going up um, the stairwell of my high school. And it's still there today, all these umpteen years later. I was just in Maine visiting my family, and one of my
Picture.
nephews says, "I'm gonna go to the school and take a picture of that for you." But that's when I started doing murals, and then I've done quite a few murals since then. But yeah, that is a good point, Cheryl. easier if you can project the image, especially on a huge wall or something like that. And I've done my New England farmhouse. That's awesome. I'm jealous. I actually did my stairwell too. Like I actually painted my stairs to look like this awesome, like rich color wood, even though it is wood, but I just made it look more spiffy. And I painted like the little sort of like a Donna Dewberry one stroke painting stuff, like of vines and stuff going up my
Oh,
stairwell. I've
cool.
done that before. So Nancy, you can get totally creative and fun, and that'd be awesome. We'd love to see it, by the way. You gotta share pictures
Yeah,
if you do
I'd
that.
love to see.
Okay, let me just share a couple of clips of me painting this landscape, and hopefully it will help you out. Okay, let's see. See if we can do this. With some long strokes. I used a little bit too much water right now, so it looks a little bit transparent, but that's okay. Kind of adds to the look. Right now, I usually just see where I was talking about. You can paint the water the same time that you paint the sky if you're putting like a lake or something in, which is what I'm doing in this painting. So I put some blue on the top of the sky and some mid color blues right there for the midsection. Kind of wing it. You can paint your clouds any way you want, really. Like as you get going and get into it, and if you see something or feel something, go ahead and paint it in because this is your creation here. Just like Cheryl said, get unique and creative because it is yours. So you see how I'm not just painting my sky, like I started it like horizontally, but now I'm bringing it down from the corners just to kind of give some interest to the sky. By the way, this is what was released in the Paint in Art Business Challenge this morning. If you want to paint the whole thing. Horizontally in the sky using those same colors again, the excuse me, the titanium white and the cobalt blue. Put yellow over blue, you can see that it's making a slight greenish tint, which I'm not, it's hard. I am so as I'm painting in the clouds, I'm going to make sure that I'm not painting all the clouds the same size and the same shape. Isn't that true, Cheryl, that we want to
Yeah,
mix?
you really want a variety,
Yeah.
whether it's shape, texture, color, anything. Just keep thinking, making things not uniform, and that's hard. I tend to sometimes do the clouds, and they're all starting to look alike, or the trees. It's hard to
Yeah.
stop yourself. Remember to like just think of the big, small, middle size, the mama, papa,
Right.
baby bear. You know.
Yes, I love that analogy. To kind of reminds me of like fire in the sky or something. It's so cool. And just like Cheryl was saying, I'm using a lot of colors here because I'm making this beautiful sunset in the sky. Don't
Exists.
be afraid to try different colors. Strokes here, wider. Because
That's a beautiful sky.
thanks. And I'm not doing too many crazy things in the water. I'm literally just doing a few. I'm using that brush that I showed you all earlier, pretty sure, the flat angled one, to just kind of get some color into the water. And if you are painting if it's still water, you want to make sure that the lines are going horizontally. Or yellow or vice versa, your painting is still going to look great. And I'm not really paying attention to, oh, where's this reflection going to be? That reflection. I'm just going for it and putting in some colors because this right here is water. So, as the water is moving, it's going to reflect in different places anyway. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think it's
So,
almost if you try to get it too perfect, it doesn't look real. So you don't stress too much about it being a mirror reflection, like you say. Just get the color in there, and that works
yeah.
perfectly.
So now here, I had already painted in the mountains in the background, and they're pretty dark. I used black and a dark blue to paint those in. But like Cheryl was saying earlier, I don't want you all to get confused here because I'm painting a nighttime sky in a nighttime scene. But typically, especially if it's, bright out, your mountains in the distance are going to be much fainter, especially if they're really far away. Now, if I had mountains behind these mountains, they would even be a lighter color than, what I put in here. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. Did I articulate that in the correct way, Cheryl?
Was because it's like atmosphere perspective, it makes those things grayer, but now the sun's down behind those mountains, so there's no light coming from here onto them, so they would be naturally dark like that.
Yeah. Now, and some blocks in the way that my so this is the foreground now that I'm putting in, but once again, my painting here is a night scene. So there is a lot of dark in here. And I just quickly put those pieces in. Of course, I show you step by step during the actual walkthrough if you're going to do this with me. But right here, I'm using that bristly brush that I was showing you earlier to kind of get some of this bristles going all over the place, like a little crazy brush, maybe. crazy brush.
And we don't want a ton of paint on the brush. So this might be something that you want to try as well on your multimedia pad.
And see, that's what I was talking about, was like bring the foreground up into the mid a little bit. You don't want it just to be like a line, like you want it to go up into your painting a little. Let's see. And same with this, like this line that I made even goes up into the way foreground, right? The sky, which will just bring the whole painting together, as you can see, as we create it. So, all right. Hopefully that little visual just helped you all out to get a little visual about what I was talking about anyway. Yeah. Any questions? You're welcome, Nancy. Any questions, go ahead and throw them in here. And I want to let you all know, if you touch our face and you go to the description, the link to sign up for Cheryl's workshop or my painting and business challenge is right in there. So you could do both of them, or you could do one of them, whatever you would like to do. But Cheryl, take it away and let us know when your workshop starts and what you're going to be doing.
Okay, sure. I'm having a 3-day workshop, and remember that we always record our things. So if you don't make it, like Amy's, even though it started today, you're not missing a thing because everything is recorded. So I'm doing a landscape workshop. It starts on the 28th, which is my birthday.
Happy early birthday.
And Gail, like people who are in my membership, it's included, and it's paintings that we've done, but if you want to do them live again. So I'm doing a fall covered bridge, which is kind of fun because you get a little bit of a technique on doing trees, buildings, rocks. Look at, now when you think rocks, oh, rocks are so hard, I can't do rocks. They're very abstract. They're just little dabs of paint. When you step back and look, they appear as rocks. So
like magic.
You'll learn elements that you can put together in your own landscape. So you can change them up. This is the little winter scene we're going to do. And that is fun. We use a palette knife on some of that. And just a little taste of how I teach. That's why we do these things. So you could get a little glimpse into how we work, how we teach, what our memberships are like. And it's going to be just $10 for the 3 days. We will, on the first day, talk about the supplies, work on the backgrounds, get the painting sort of started, and then we'll do the fall painting one day, the winter painting the next, and step by step. So you guys, if you're not really even painters, I know they look detailed, but I do it in a way where you get the tracer in variety of sizes, and then I lead you through it step by step. So you don't have to be an experienced painter. You don't have to be able to paint straight lines or people or all those things people think they need to have if they want to pursue art. We can teach you it. We can teach you art. And if you have the desire and you want to learn, it's just some simple steps. And so it'll be fun. It'll be 3 days. It's 28th, 29th, 30th. 3 in the afternoon, I believe. And like I said, it's all recorded so you can watch it at your leisure at home and stop and start the videos as well. So if you'd like to join me, I would love to have you. And it gives you an idea of how I teach anyway, if that makes sense.
I'm glad that you mentioned, it looks difficult, but I love the way you teach, Cheryl, and I'm in Cheryl's membership, and I actually painted
You did, right.
the covered bridge, yeah. And I can attest to that Cheryl does walk you through step by step. And when you look at the pieces that she held up, it may seem intimidating, but it's really not. It's so fun to just go along, and she'll give you all kinds of ideas and how to's. And I bet you're going to be creating some gorgeous pieces.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lisa Marie.
Hi, Lisa Marie. Yeah. Awesome. So once again, touch Cheryl's face, which will bring up the description. You can go right to that link that says for Cheryl, and you can read all about what she just said. You can sign up to be in her workshop, and I'm sure you're going to have a good time. My challenge actually started today. The painting that I just showed you, like a couple glimpses when we were talking about the landscape painting, is the painting we are creating. A lot of you in the challenge are creating it already because it got released, a little over an hour ago. But even if you want to sign up now, that's okay. You can still, like Cheryl said, watch the recording. It's going to be in there. You'll have it forever and ever. My challenge is only $10 as well, unless you are a Creative Warrior member, which is my membership, where I teach you how to market your paintings online organically using social media, heavy focus on Facebook. So if you're a Creative Warrior, you already have access to the challenge. You can just go to the Paint and Business Challenge group and get right in. If you're confused, just ask in our membership and I'll give that to you. I know a lot of you already signed up for it. So you have free access. There is another bunch who has free access to get in. Big thank you and shout out to Christy Hawkins from the Social Easel. Cheryl and I were both recently presenters in her membership, in her, inner tribe membership. And so I recently just did a painting with them of the winter cardinal. So if you are in Christy's membership and you did the winter cardinal with me, I am giving free access to as well. And I know some of you are already in there. So I just wanted to give a big shout out. But if you're not in either one of those in my membership, or in Christy's membership, that's okay. You still can touch my face, go to the description, sign up, and paint that beautiful landscape I was just showing you right there with us. Now, mine's called Paint and Business because I love to teach artists how to market themselves as an artist, how to build customers, how to sell paintings and all that. So today was the release of the Lakeside Rails painting that I just showed you. And then tomorrow, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create your own art collectors group, even if you don't even have any collectors or any customers. Don't be scared. I'll walk you through step by step how to set that up. And that's how I found a lot of success back in 2018, setting up my own art collectors group on Facebook, not spending any money on ads, and selling paintings left and right for 3 years straight. So I'm going to show you how to do that, all that for $10. And then I'm going to be doing a Q&A for you all where I'm going to answer all your questions on business and on painting. So anyway, if you have questions now, go ahead and drop those in there and let us know. Amy is not only super talented, but also knowledgeable about the business end of art. Thank you, Lisa Marie. You're so sweet. Boop, boop. Okay. We really appreciate you hanging out with us today. I hope that we helped with a few landscape tips for you. If you have any more questions, go ahead and drop them in about landscape painting. Would be happy to answer those, or about Cheryl's workshop or about my challenge. We're happy to answer. I'll wait just a couple minutes. Cheryl and I will say hey to each other, and then we'll pop off and start the rest of our day.
And the best thing is to just go out there and just paint. And every time you paint, it's either a success or it's a learning experience. And if you have some paintings, or you've painted some paintings and you have questions or issues, contact Amy or I. Send us a photo. We will be happy to critique and help you and give you tips on in particular instances. So we're here to help you guys become better painters.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we have helped you out a bit. If you are seeing this on the recording, that's fine. We're glad. You can still go ahead and say whatever you want. Cheryl and I will check intermediately, like throughout the day, and we'll answer whatever questions that you have for us.
Sure.
Okay? All right. All
Well,
right.
thanks, Amy, for having me here today, too. It was great fun to meet everybody, and we'll paint with you next time. Okay.
All right.